So today is a really cool day for me. I'm doing something that I haven't been able to do in several months, which is kind of like stand outside and relax. I've even worked a little bit outside as I handled phone calls, went for a little bit of a walk. You know, for so much of 2020, we've been in like a lockdown or pseudo lockdown state that I actually spend most of my time in the house or in a house. I don't spend a lot of time going for walks. Like I live in Texas where it's like a billion degrees most of the past few months and the mosquitoes out here have been nuts. Today's the first day where it's like cool and relaxing and it feels nice to be outside. So as I was outside today, I was thinking about this interaction I had with somebody on social media yesterday who said that they think solution-focused brief therapy is only effective with people who don't have big problems. And they went on to say that the solution-focused approach isn't deep enough. And I just thought, like, that is just, not only is that inaccurate according to current research trends, but it's just flawed and just completely not on par with what we do with our clients. And when people say it's not deep enough, I have a colleague named Jackie, and Jackie, when someone says it's not deep enough, Jackie says, because you're not digging for the right things, which I love that response. But actually, I would go a step further, and I would say, the reason you don't experience it as deep enough is because you're not digging in the right place. So I think solution-focused brief therapy, it accomplishes the same thing problem-focused therapies do, just by going a different route to do it. So if someone does have a big problem, and I'm gonna tell you, like, I've had big, massive problems in my life. I have been impacted by big, major things in my life. I have gone through abuse, childhood trauma in my life. Now, there is a problem-focused way to address that for sure, but there is also a solution-focused way to address it that is equally as effective. It's just effective in fewer sessions. So what would you do? 12-year-old Elliot, who is being subjected to real pain and trauma in his home, comes into your office. What do? You ask 12-year-old Elliot what his preferred future is. You talk to Elliot about what outcomes he wants to achieve in his life. And what happens is that increases Elliot's resiliency. You know how I know that? Because that's what my mother talked to me about. While this horrible stuff was going on, my mother was talking to me about my future and building my resilience, which actually made me feel like I can deal with any pain and struggle to get me on the other side to be able to do this thing successfully. So when people say like it's not deep enough or whatever, I'm like, yeah, that's because you're not asking the right questions and you don't understand the functionality of solution-focused brief therapy. You think you're supposed to use solution-focused brief therapy to solve a problem. We think we use solution-focused brief therapy to build people's hope and resilience, and then they solve the problem. That's just a different way of doing it. That's just a different thing to do. So this thing about like, does solution-focused brief therapy work with big problems? Not only does it work, not only is that demonstrated in research, but it's demonstrated in everyday life. Like, people can get through hard things with a hope for the future. The most famous and well-known example of this, or one of the most famous and well-known example of this, is Nelson Mandela. How did Nelson Mandela deal with being incarcerated for 27 years for like oppressive reasons? Like he didn't do anything wrong except fight oppression in South Africa. How did he deal with being incarcerated for 27 years? He didn't have a problem-focused therapy. What he did was he had hope for the future of South Africa. What he did was he had he had a vision for the future of South Africa. And it was so strong that it made him want to live it out and see it through. That's what solution-focused brief therapy does. We help people accomplish and describe the visions they have for the future and do so with such detail that it makes it a strong desire and helps them want to live and see it through. So this idea that it's not effective, stop saying it. It's not true.